that the government doesn't have their money. And now that's getting kind of scary when you sit there and you take a certain age of the sector of us, right? American citizens, and say, well, gee, we don't want to really, and we won't spend the money to help you with your medical conditions at a certain age. Oh, you have cancer. You got a year. Maybe if you had treatments, we can give you 2 or 3 years. No, we don't want to spend the money because it costs too much. That is really scary that even somebody would talk about that. And people still think the guy is cool. Now, I'm not talking about a president. I'm talking about somebody who's running. Makes me really wonder what is going on with these politicians. What is in their heads?
Maybe it's what isn't in their head. Like you always say, if the aliens come here and they go to Washington, they're going to be, well, nourished.
If they eat the brains of humans and they go to Washington, D.C., and they decide to feed off the politicians, we can be sure that these aliens will die really fast because they'll starve to death. I can't believe we have politicians that's starting to talk that way. We, the people, haven't caused this financial problem. Things like putting off, and now our president has admitted, the tariff has caused a deep strain financially on our country. What did I say 6 months, 8 months, a year ago?
Oh, you were saying that back in, I think, 2018 even.
Well, when it was first started, I explained it was going to have a ripple effect. And look how the deficit is in this country. It's higher than it's ever been. And the only way they figure they can do it is by cutting Social Security. People that are disabled, okay? People that are dependent on, cut people off of food stamps. Some of these people, again, can't work because they're disabled, both physical or have mental problems where they can't hold a job down. But yet, they're going to make it almost impossible for you to have food stamps anymore. And they're going to cut out 780 million people that are getting food stamps, or they want to. That is really scary. And then, for the younger people who are working, they're going to push up Social Security to age 70, is the talk in Washington, D.C. That is also scary because how many people around 70 pass on? So, most people, they work hard knowing that they can retire between 65 and 67 and have a few years to enjoy what they have worked for. When you start pushing it up to 70, how long does it take before, okay, now we're going to bump it up to 72, 74, 76 sounds like a good number. It's scary. What is going on? Now, these FEMA camps, when I've been getting some emails from people that, are telling me that their connections with the government is something is going on with FEMA camps right now. Now, maybe they are preparing these FEMA camps in case this outbreak really goes rancid. Now, what are they going to do to the people?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like they did with the Japanese during World War II. Just put them in these camps and not let them leave, quarantine them down, and Lord only knows. And I kind of reported on that, I don't know, a few days ago about these FEMA camps popping up and a lot of activity going on, and we don't know what it's for. But it kind of makes you scratch your head when these things happen and there's no natural event that's happened, or disaster rather. But we've got this flu epidemic going around, and look how hard it hit Italy. It took off in Italy like crazy. Who knows how many people are truly affected here? We just, like you say, it incubates for so long, we don't know yet. But when it unfolds, it will unfold big time.
Well, put it this way. When you get the Center of Disease getting and making these statements, you don't believe me, go onto their website and read it. It's telling you right there. That's the scary part. And they, again, today is when they announced all this stuff and they put it up on their website. So I got a funny feeling they are expecting major major problems where it's going to disrupt our country. I mean, everything from, people going on planes, going into work, going to school. They're talking about if somebody gets infected and they're in school, they have to close the whole school down. I mean, it's going to be, if they don't get it under control fastly, it's, I don't know. I think at this point, what they should have done, and I know economically it would have been major, but they should have, anybody traveling out of country, okay, or coming back into the country, quarantine them for 2 weeks or a week. They got all these FEMA camps. Maybe everybody that comes back in that's been over in the Orient and traveled, maybe they get, taken in for a week of luxury, watching James Bond, all 24 of those movies for 24 days to make sure that they can come back in society and not spread it.
That's a good idea.
I don't know. Maybe they're already thinking that.
Could be. Very well could be, because there's, like you said, and I've kind of noticed too with my little research, there's something stirring with them camps anyway, and then, something's got to be done. And the other thing about this, Gary, it will affect the economy big time, because it's going to affect the airports, it's going to affect busing, anything that's got to do with travel or major population of people around, any businesses.
On retail, it's going to be a major death blow. If it really, who's going to want to go grocery shopping if they're so scared that the person next to them could be infected? You're not going to want to go, right, that nice restaurant with your wife or girlfriend, because you're the same thing. Well, maybe the cook has it, or the cooks have them, okay, or the waiter, or the dishwasher, or whoever prepares the food, it brings it to the restaurant, and then they cook it, and then you have to worry about all these people. You're confined in a restaurant, so you're breathing air from these other people next to you and other tables. It can affect the society big time, and that's what I've been trying to tell people. But you know what? People look at me like, you're really overreacting. Well, if I'm overreacting, go again to the Center of Disease website and look at it and read it. They're trying to right now prepare the people that something is coming down the road. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And here's another scary piece of information that is going to be true. You know very well the human psyche. There's people out there, probably at least 2 out of every 10, that are stubborn and will refuse to even report that, or even that they're sick, or even go to these places. And so they're going to go around sick, knowing they're sick, and they're going to spread it anyway. You know what I'm saying? There's people like that. They're just stubborn. They won't go to these things. And they're going to walk around sick and say, screw it, and infect other people.
Well,
I just know it.
James, they're not going to walk around sick too long, because once you get it and you start getting sick, it starts out like a cold. Then you imagine within a day, it's not a cold. It's like a flu. Only it gets to the point where you can barely breathe. And then you can't hardly move. And then the pain. They said this causes immense organ pain for your whole body.
Ouch.
Okay? So it's not like the flu.
Okay. It's worse.
Well,
way worse.
Yeah, because it can cause all your organs to shut down. So, I mean, we have that. You go into convulsions, and then once you go in convulsions, there's like a good chance you're not going to come out of it alive.
No, and look at that video we seen where the guy was sitting in the stool. Now, he was at a business or somewhere, and he had it, and he just went into seizures and was, I don't know if he died or if he wasn't in very good shape, I can tell you that from that video. But there's a perfect example. He wasn't quarantined, and he went right into that seizure, and he fell right out of that stool.
Yeah, and that was out of a friend of mine that runs a website and or a Facebook group out of Australia. And if you notice, if you look at some of the other countries, like BBC News, check it out. And then check out, like in Australia, their news. It's a major thing on the news in those countries, and it's scary. Here, we're not really getting much news. Now, we might start now because of the Center of Disease coming out saying what they said today. But I'm telling you right now, if you're out in the public, get some of the hand sanitizer. Have it where if you're touching anything that people are touching, use a lot of it during the course of the day. And try not to get close to people, where they're in your face, for example. And don't share food. Don't do anything that you might normally do. Not till we know that what happens here in the next couple of weeks. That's the critical part.
Yeah. And look at Italy. I mean, it has really took off in Italy compared to the other countries, and that's just within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, if you ever been in Italy, you would see why there's a large group of people in a small area. Now, that's why I think it's spreading faster there. And the atmosphere is different. But I'm telling you, we will know here in the next couple of weeks if we manage to stop it. They're trying to stop it most they can. If all of a sudden international travel is a ban put on it in the next couple of weeks, then I'll tell you what, get a lot of saran wrap and wrap your house like that guy did a couple of years ago.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's not good either, because then you can't get any air in or out of the place. You end up suffocating.
I was a joke.
I know. I'm just saying. I remember when that guy did that or something. But yeah, but people do extreme things. I mean, they just do. But I don't know what the answer is. But except what you said, wash your hands all the time. Be careful how close you get around people, and try not to handle money's one thing you got to be careful handling. If you do handle a lot, like you said, get that hand sanitizer. Use it a lot. Yeah,
and if you instead of visiting people for the next couple of weeks, I would kind of like, hey, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. If it was me, I wouldn't go to any indoor activities where there's a large amount of people. Just use a little prudence right now. I mean, again, maybe I'm overreacting, but again, read the Center of Disease website today. Please go on it and read it, people. And you'll see I'm not lying. Go on to BBC News and type in the virus. And it's going to come up with a whole bunch of stories that you don't see in this country that'll scare you. Anyway, we'll be back with the news with James. Then we're going to have Jeff Krause on, and we're going to be talking about the Battle of L.A., UFOs, and Mufon. So we got a lot going on here tonight on Night Dreams Talk Radio. So we will be back.
Was a biker, and he drove his motorcycle that fast. He drove a big chop hog with a gang colors jacket, and he ran down citizens for laughs. He had an old lady named Petula, packed an automatic 45 gun. They had just come up from California, where they shot 6 cops for fun.
Jake thought he was the best there was. Down the interstate he'd roar, till the day he tangled with the county sheriff. They all called 104.
It was late on a Thursday evening, and Jake, he was feeling kinda mean, 'cause he just run out of his favorite drug, the one called amphetamine. So he sauntered up to Petula, and he said, say, baby, let's split. There's a little gas station on down the road that might be fun to hit. So they drove up to the station, and they both jumped off and Jake's ride. They were up to derision at Jake's decision as they both sauntered to the inside. The attendant, he was an old man, and he didn't think it very funny. When Petula pulled out that great big gun and said,
honey, give me all your money.
Well, the old man opened up the cash drawer, and Jake grabbed the money and ran, with Petula out the door to the big chopped hog that was parked on the center kickstand.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show.